Hello, developers. It's RealToughCandy from RealToughCandy.io, popping back on for another training on this, what we used to call a Fish Fry Friday. Not so fishy these days. I used to have a go all out with Zoom, had this awesome aquarium background. Now we're getting back to business. I am not going to lie. So yesterday in the States was Thanksgiving. Normally I'm pretty well tempered. I pace myself. Yesterday was a different story. And I swear to you, late last night around midnight, I almost canceled the stream because I was so full. And I woke up today and I was still stuffed. And I had about 4,000 times the recommended amount of sodium yesterday. So if you see me with like the sodium shakes, I'm hydrating here and trying to power through it. But it was brutal yesterday. It got pretty ugly. No regrets, but I just couldn't control myself. Hope you all are doing well. It's also Black Friday around the world. I don't think that's just a US phenomenon anymore, where people encourage you to buy stuff because it's on sale. So on that note, just a quick little plug for RealToughCandy.io. Everything is 50% off, all right? Everything! That includes memberships. The yearly membership is 50% off. This is the only time this year and next year. We're not doing the sale for another year. That's what I'm trying to get at to you. So also, we have our courses available a la carte. If you don't want to fuss with the membership, just get in, get out with the course. The one-time purchase courses are also half off. This ends tonight at midnight. Again, I'm not rolling out any more sales like this till next Black Friday. Lots of people have taken advantage of the sale, so I encourage you to also. If you enjoy today's training, this is available as a course, more in-depth. We go much more in-depth for revamping your portfolio. The course is called Portfolio Surgery, and that's on RealToughCandy.io. Again, you can access this course with a membership. You get access to all the courses with a membership, or just buy the course and you'll be on your way. But a lot more details are discussed in Portfolio Surgery. It is also a book. If you like the paperback or Kindle, whatever your preference, that is available on Amazon. Paradoodly-doo is our amazing moderator at large today. Paradoodly-doo, could you please pop those links and pop the promo code for RealToughCandy.io. Black Friday, one word, apply it at checkout, 50% off, ends tonight, November 27th at midnight Central Standard Time. Today's training is all about optimizing your portfolio. Now, we have had some interesting counterpoints about portfolios over the past couple years, even some more. Okay, I gotta focus here. I'm just thinking about Thanksgiving. There was a video the other week. A YouTuber had made the argument that portfolios don't matter. Employers don't care about portfolios. I clearly disagree. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing this training. But we're going to talk about that in detail today, too. So let me give you a little outline about what this training is all about. Number one, we're going to talk about the portfolio itself, just in a general sense. What is a portfolio? Number two, do employers actually care? Spoiler alert, yeah. Number three, what should you include in your portfolio? Number four, what should you not include in your portfolio? This is a big one, too. What types of projects should you include? Responsiveness and testing we're going to talk about. We're also going to look at some real-world portfolio examples, and then we're going to go to some Q&As in the audience, the live audience, if we have time. If you're watching this on a replay, check the pinned comment. We're going to have timestamps for all the important parts. So the reason I wanted to do today's training is because your portfolio as a junior developer is the most important asset that you have. Resumes are important, cover letters, yes. GitHub accounts, okay, but portfolios are the most important asset you have. And so it's important to get them not only functional, but performing ahead of your competition. Because as we talk about a lot in these live streams, it's all about being just marginally better, just one little teeny iota. So if you can just be marginally better, you have that upper hand. We're going to do, I'm also going to get through this first part. We'll go do a check-in with the audience because I know we have some cool peeps here today. Taylor and Brian and Lorna from the UK checking in. Also our awesome moderator, Paradoodly-doo. So let's talk about what is a portfolio. Essentially, it is the thing that you place your projects in, and it's a place for you to advertise what you do. I'm going to go over a few portfolios right now. Just without commentary, you can check out these few. These are some I handpicked today. We're going to talk about these in depth, but these are all examples of portfolios. Again, I'm just going to kind of sip my water here. I'll let you guys look over these. This is juliacodes.com. We're going to talk about this one. This is my top of all the ones I went through about 30 or 40 today, trying to pick some ones that I thought could really benefit the audience for inspirational purposes. So that one I really liked. This is Moritz Kohner. I'll start at the top here. This is a conversational AI. This guy's a conversational AI engineer. Just go over this one really quick. Now start taking notes. Start looking at these and remember, log in your brain what's popping out to you and maybe what's not popping out to you. All right, and it goes on here. And this is Lee Warwick, full stack JavaScript developer. Got some animations here. Whoops, I'm not going to talk, sorry. So these are all examples of portfolios. And as you can see, the big thing here are projects. So the number one thing you want to put in your portfolio isn't your resume, isn't your bio, but projects. And other things you want to include, may as well talk about them right now. A contact form or some way of contacting you. And let's see, let's go down here. So this is, let me see if I can find one. So let's see if any of these have a contact form. Whoops. Okay, go back up. Wait, where's the contact? How do I contact these people? Where's the contact form? Connect. All right, so none of these have contact forms. So I wasn't expecting that, but that's okay. Contact form and any social proof you might have. Now, social proof essentially means feedback from other people. If you can get someone to say, I endorse Lee Warwick, this person is so awesome, then that is great. It shows people, it shows employers that other people think highly of you and that you're competent. Social proof is a big thing, even for junior developers. So if you can get someone, even a family member or friend, to socially proof you, if you will, that's a good sign. Let's see here. Is anyone using social proof on these? I don't think so. Let's see. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll come back to this question, do employers actually care? Because they do. We're going to talk about it more in detail. But I think I'm going to reverse it. Like, there are things I want to talk about, but these portfolios, I kind of want to do more of a show and tell rather than just a lecture and then show you. So I'm going to go through this portfolio, juliacodes.com. This is the number one portfolio that I picked out of all the ones I went through today. These are just ones I came across. These weren't like submitted to me or anything, but I wanted to show you this one because it has all of the critical elements. So number one, it's clean and it's fast. And so those are important things when you're building your portfolio. You don't want a lot of I've seen developers put in advertising, like Google ads, on their portfolio. Don't do that. Wrong crowd. I appreciate the entrepreneurial spirit, but wrong crowd for that. You want to keep it clean and fast. And so the first thing I noticed about this site when I logged on to Julia Codes is that it is clean. It is super clean. It's not cluttered with like a ton of biographical information, flashy animations and all these colors. It is simple and clean. And so that allows me to focus more on what she's doing as a developer and what she's all about. So when I land on this page, it says, "Hi there, I'm Julia, front-end developer, student, and intern at IBM." One sentence, boom, I already know a lot about this person. Her name's Julia. There are bits of information just in this one sentence. "Hi, I'm Julia, front-end developer, student, and intern at IBM." All right, my interest is piqued. Because there's a name drop here. There's her name, so it's kind of that immediate connection, even though it's superficial. It's like, okay, this person exists. It's not just a developer behind a machine. She's putting her face out here. Some people say put a photo in your portfolio. If you want to, okay, that does potentially open yourself up to bias. Some people ask me on my personal advice for it. I always say if you're not really knowing if you should include a photo or not, you can A/B it. What I mean by that is try a batch of applications, send out your portfolio to 20 employers with a photo and then 20 without, and see how you perform. See how that does with a photo and without. And then proceed as necessary. So here's her photo. And then just a quick little bio. And going into what you should include things that are succinct. Developers, sometimes we love to talk about our work and what we do, and that is freaking awesome. I mean, absolutely, we need to be proud of these things and talk about these things and, who we are and what we're all about. But you have to remember that employers, they're looking at dozens of these a day. When it comes to job openings, they just don't have time to read through everything. So the more succinct you can get, the shorter you can get with your narratives, the better. This is doable. I don't have to read through all this. The important thing was up here. So that's another thing. Try and, strategize in a way where you're prioritizing the most important things about you. "Hi, I'm Julia. I'm a front-end dev, I'm a student, and I'm an intern at IBM. Those are really important. She put them up top. It's the first thing I see. It's nice big font. So even if I skip over this stuff, which let's say I don't have enough time, okay, let's see what she's good at. I already know the basics. So the organization, the reason I'm showing these portfolios early in this stream is to give you guys some ideas for your own portfolios. It's okay to get inspiration from these portfolios. Now, to steal it word for word, not cool. But to steal it, I'm using air quotes here, to steal it in a way where you get inspiration and you mash it up to make it your own, absolutely. That's the name of the game. So take as much inspiration as you can from these really good portfolios. So then it goes down into her My Skills section, just quick list of what she does, and then her projects. Now, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier either, but one other thing you want to include in your portfolio is a skills section. I've seen all kinds of great layouts for that. For example, going into Moritz Kohner's portfolio, he has the tech used. Well, he has his skills up here, actually. AI and bots, voice, APIs, Node, PHP, Docker, AWS, skills/specializations. What is it you do? And this is, just boom, this is another great example of getting the attention, prioritizing the most important things and putting it front and center. So my attention is right on those priority things. Conversational AI engineer. Okay, this is this guy in a nutshell. Within 4 seconds, I can read what he's all about. And then down here, he goes further and he uses this really cool technique where he's tagging the projects with what skills, technologies, and languages he's used to implement into these projects. So however you want to do it. And then Lee Warwick, let's go over here. So he did this a little differently. He has, if you're just scrolling down, it's a animation fade in or push in, however, I don't know what the exact effect is called, but it's an animation where the skills pop up. He likes to work with JavaScript, React, Node. So there's the list there. And then down here, he has a link to the repo. And then a few technologies listed here, the main ones. So again, however you want to do it, you just want to tell your employer in a succinct, fast way what it is you do and what skills you have, what skills you can offer. And if you can do it in a way that's clean and fast, great. And all these portfolios have some really great elements about them. That's why I picked them, these three, Julia's, Moritz's, and Lee's. But there are things you may want to leave by the wayside. For example, now this isn't a portfolio critique, and this person didn't ask me to critique her portfolio, but it is so good. Something I would do with this portfolio is put in a contact form, because the reason I stress contact forms is because as an employer, I might not have a mail client set up on my desktop. So what I mean by that is if I click this, anything's possible. Like it might open my desktop, it might take me to Gmail, nothing will happen. Or maybe what's going to happen on this Mac is that it's going to ask me to set up a mail client, and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to have to copy and paste this and go to Gmail, and I don't want to do that. And even after that, there's no guarantee she's going to get that email. I would rather the responsibility or the onus be on her or any developer, really, when I'm contacting this person. Like, oh, I use the official contact form and to get a hold of you. So, at that point, it's in the developer's court rather than my thinking or worrying like, I wonder if they got that email. And at that point, I probably just go on to the next candidate. So, take what's useful of these great portfolios. And certainly there's more than just three. Again, these are three that I thought were really good. But you want to have a contact form. Even in my portfolio, so this is my first developer portfolio, the first one that got me a job. And as I mentioned in an earlier video a couple weeks ago, this portfolio is far from perfect. And going over it again, there are a lot of things that I really could have improved, that I should have paid more attention to. But despite that, I still got a job, and I still got multiple callbacks and multiple interviews and multiple job offers, in fact. And this was the exact portfolio I submitted. So again, it's that being marginally better. And one of the strongest points of my portfolio, my first one, is that I explained my process. And that brings me to what I want to talk about in my sheet that got a little bit rearranged here. Do employers actually care about portfolios? Heck yeah, they care about portfolios. Heck yeah, they care. Some people argue that, employers don't look at portfolios, they don't put a lot of weight on them because the developers can steal projects. That's true. Developers can steal projects and claim projects, but you know what they can't steal or make up? Their process. So when you're at an interview, when you're on a phone call, when you're doing a phone screen, when you're talking with a potential employer, they're going to ask you about your projects. And if you have a deer in the headlights look, yeah, that's a problem. It may or may not indicate that you stole a project. The more important issue is that you don't understand your problem-solving process. And the big thing to how you can overcome that, how you can overcome not understanding your process, is to write it out. Put in a narrative in your projects. This is something you must include. If you just, and this is where I'm going to get a little fired up because I see this over and over and over, and it is easily fixable. You just have to take some time to do it. I've seen it time and time again where developers just put thumbnails with a link in their project area. Just the title of the project and a link to it. I have no idea what it is. Employers have no idea what it is. They don't know what it does. They don't know why you built it. They don't know how you built it. And they don't know the effect of the project. Like, what are the consequences or the results of that project? This is where you start giving it some soul. And I've seen so many times where developers are having a hard time getting callbacks. One of the reasons is that they don't understand their process. And if they do understand their process, they're not articulating it. And at the end of the day, developers are problem solvers. We're not just builders. We don't just go like this, typing on a keyboard, hoping something will work. We have a process. And if you know your process and you can articulate that process, then your employers are going to want you, they're more likely to want you to solve their own problems using your problem-solving process. So the argument that, employers, portfolios are worthless because people can steal the projects, people can steal anything. It's when you're under the microscope at an interview or a follow-up or a phone screen where the truth comes out. And if you're not very good at communicating, shameless plug, I also have a course, Professional Communication for Junior Developers, where we deal with real-world scenarios and some dramatic problems that junior developers sometimes face because their communication skills aren't optimized. So communication is a big part of your portfolio. So that's something else you want to include, not just your process, but exhibiting your communication skills. Now, if we go down, Julia Johnson, I am giving this portfolio some love today because here is her portfolio section. Now, she has 5. She has 4 completed projects and a project in progress, which is good. I usually recommend 4 to 6 projects. Anything more is too much. Your potential employer is not going to take the time to look. Anything less than 4 oftentimes doesn't illustrate your full spectrum of skills. I've seen some developers get away with it, not a lot though. You can get away with it if the project, like you could even do 1 project, but it better be a banger. It better blow my face off, just from the impact, the dynamite-esque impact of that project. It's a project you're going to be working on for probably 6 months to a year, in lieu of these other projects. That's why I say 4 to 6. Most people don't want to spend a year or whatever on a project, is totally understandable. 4 to 6 is pretty good. So let's see what she has to say about Decor. Now, this is her project. It's a tool designed to help web developers build live custom templates and export code. View project. Now, instead of bringing me to a Heroku site, a Heroku app, or just bringing me somewhere I don't know where I'm going, she's bringing me to another page on her personal site, on her portfolio site. Now, this is, she nailed this. Look at the communication. We're going to get into this. Everything about this is A. And just looking at this kind of stuff, if I was looking for a front-end developer, I would call this person in for an interview. It's fast, it's clean, there's a narrative, I know a little bit about her, and it's clear to me she took some time to really craft this portfolio. So this says, Decor is a project I built alongside Ian Trent for a class project. We decided to create a React web application that would help other developers get started with their web projects. Boom! Background. What is the story behind this project? She has 2 sentences. And now we have a list here. We also have a link to the live site, the repository, the stack, and the type of project. This person's an intern. This person is not even you're not even outside of the internship, and you're creating this kind of stuff. Now, I haven't even tried the project. I might not even click on View Site, or I might not even click on the repository. I'm loving this. Project purpose and goal. And you see here, the process is being illustrated step by step. And this is something you must include in your portfolio. It does not have to look like this. It does not have to flow like this, but you have to know your problem-solving process. There's something called the PAR method. Now, as I mentioned in my own portfolio, this is my first portfolio again, I have a challenge, solution, and outcome section. What was I challenged? What was the problem? So this project is called Get Her Done. So the problem is, while most aspiring and junior developers learn Git commands, it's usually difficult to practice those skills in a social environment. So I wanted to solve that problem. What did I do? I built Get Her Done, the collaborative Git simulator that replicates a live working and coding environment. Devs use the simulator in conjunction with two other popular social work tools, GitHub and Slack, to increase efficiency and collaboration. And here is my outcome. After I built this, what was the result? You just built something. Okay, now what? I went a step further, and so did Julia and these other people, lots of other developers who are using this technique to explain their process, to illustrate their process. That's where the money is. That's why employers want you, because you have a problem-solving process, and you know the value of that process. So the outcome is, with my Get Her Done collaborative simulation, devs can now work out actual Git commands together in a relaxed environment while boosting their confidence when it comes to deploying these skills on the job. Currently available as a 2-person beta release, the project will soon expand to include a stable release in addition to a 3-person beta release. And here is the link to that. So the other thing you want to include in your portfolio with your projects, give a GitHub link and also have a live project available for the person to try out. It doesn't matter if it's a simple project or one that took you years to build. People want to see it. They may not try out every button, but you want to make sure that your work is illustrated. So Developers Illustrated. There's Sports Illustrated. Make this Developers Illustrated. Make them want to keep turning those pages. And so this is back at Julia's page, her decor project. She has, the other thing you want to include when you're doing this narrative, not just paragraph after paragraph, you notice how this narrative, she threw in some photos from the project. So, I mean, I don't even have to look at the live site if I don't want to. I already have, as an employer, have a pretty good idea of what this thing is doing and what it's looking like. She even wrote a little thing on problems and thought process. And then we go down lessons learned. So that is basically the result or the outcome of this project, especially as it relates to her. As a developer, this helped her solidify her React knowledge, like hooks, updating state. I also got a lot of great practice with ES6. This was a large code base to manage across the team, and we all got some more great experience with version control and reviewing each other's code. Let's go to these other. I've been fawning over this portfolio, but there are others out there too. Let's check out Moritz's. Now, this person is an architect and team lead, so his portfolio is going to look a little different. And the thing is, with mid-level and senior developers, portfolios really, when you're looking for jobs, become less relevant, because instead of a portfolio, you have a work history. And that is the big reason why portfolios are relevant, why employers do care about them, why we still assess them, because juniors don't have work experience. And so the work experience is one way of showing an employer that you have skills. A portfolio is a substitution for that. So if you're a new developer, you're not going to have 5 years experience with C# or WebAssembly or whatever, or 20 years React, whatever they're demanding these days. So in lieu of that, you have a portfolio. Now, this person's portfolio, the thing that really jumped out to me, and a lot of this stuff isn't going to apply to juniors because his needs as an employer are different and his strategy is going to be a little different. But what I did love about it is that right away, the boom factor, the grabbing my eyes factor, where it's like, okay, check. He does voice APIs, Node PHP. Let's get on to the next slide. This guy's name is Moritz. He's a conversational AI engineer. Sweet. So when you're building your portfolio, again, employers do see a lot. So keep it clean, keep it fast, and grab the attention right away, just a couple seconds. It's really, those first seconds are really, really important. Let's go to Lee Warwick's and see what he does with his narrative. And this is another reason I chose this portfolio too, because we're going to look inside this project, or just read it rather. And this project might make you scratch your head a little. What? That's a freaking to-do app. What's this guy doing? Go front and center with the to-do app. What? So here is the goal tracking app. This is a variation of the PAR method, problem, action, result. He doesn't explicitly state it, but there is a narrative here. The name of this app, goal tracking app, I'd lose my head if it wasn't attached to my shoulders. I'm also bad about letting time slip away from me while I'm working on too many things. So I decided to make myself a to-do app. Oh, what? What? The audacity. The audacity. He led off his portfolio with a to-do app. Goaler is a progressive web app that lets you keep track of all your goals. It allows you to add deadlines, group goals under parent goals, and helps you sort lists based on the amount of time left. Because it's a PWA, you can click add to home screen from whatever device you're on to install it. It behaves like a native app. I always say, do not include apps like to-do apps. They're so easy. Anyone can make them. But I'm going to give this guy a pass. Why? Why am I giving Lee a pass? Leading off with his to-do app. Somebody in the comments, be the first one and claim glory. Why this is acceptable for one of the easiest, I shouldn't say easy because, software development is difficult. One of the most straightforward apps. Something you learn at just about every doggone web development boot camp for $10 on Udemy. Every course out there, every book, every blog post showing you how to do a to-do app. Why is this one legitimate? Why is this person, and maybe get inside this guy's head a little, full stack JavaScript developer, and his first project is a to-do app? All right. This is an example of taking a project and making it your own. There are some very good efforts here at making this project his own. In fact, he even says it right here. It allows you to add deadlines, group goals under parent goals, and helps you sort your list based on the amount of time left or past due. And it's also a progressive web app. And that's one of the techniques I discuss thoroughly and show you thoroughly in Portfolio Surgery. Making projects your own. It's one of the 5 methods I show you. And once you make it your own, adding a feature. Actually, making a project your own is one of all the methods. Every one of these methods involves making a project your own. But method 5 specifically, adding a feature. This guy added multiple features. And so now it's interesting. Now it's not just out of a Cold Steel Bootcamp course. You can do Yelp Camp, but make it your own. Yelp Camp, at the end of the day, when you strip off the theme, it's just a CRUD app. There's a lot of moving parts, but you can retheme that little, that freaking thing and make it your own. That's another technique we talk about. Method 1, retheme. In the course Portfolio Surgery, retheming it to making your own. And I think this is just a great example of it. I haven't even clicked on it. I don't need to. I already know I'm interested. In the repos right here. Let's see. I wonder if I can actually access it. Oh, yes. Okay, is this live? Let's see. Oh, it is. Oh, it is. Excellent work. Not your typical to-do app. And I like it. I like it for multiple reasons, mostly because it is hard to make your own projects as a web developer. And sometimes you just can't think of any. Like, okay, what do I build? This is an example of taking something we've seen every day and making it unique. And that's something you should be focusing on too with your projects, especially if you're taking some of these online courses where, the Cold Steel Bootcamp, amazing course. 600,000 other people think it's amazing too. And 600,000 other people, there's going to be 1 million people eventually who have taken that course. Every one of those people has built Yelp Camp. And it's not that it's a bad project. It's actually a really engaging project. And again, it's a CRUD app. So there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of places you can practice your coding skills with that project. But everyone's done it, man. You got to up it a little bit and just marginally better. Again, this isn't mind melting. It looks like a cool little app. It was just, he's been doing things with these little features right here that I haven't seen other people do when they include to do apps in their portfolio. So let's jump over to the next question. The next thing people ask, okay, so what kind of projects do I actually include? The short and sweet of it is that you should include your best work and your best work only. Now, one of the myths or one of the misconceptions is that these projects have to be, again, 10 stars out of 10 stars. Do your best work that you're capable of. Put it in your portfolio, put these projects in your portfolio and start cycling them out. The minute you upgrade a project, the minute you have something better, the minute you picked up another skill or built on a skill you already possess, cycle out your Yelp camps, your basic to-do apps, whatever it is. But it's never too early to start placing projects in your portfolio. Maybe your best work right now is Hello World. Put it in there. Why? Because it's not about showing employers your Hello World application. It's about getting used to that process. And in the process of putting your project on there, you're also working on your communication skills. You can write a narrative based on a Hello World app. You can be truthful. Like, okay, what was the problem? Well, the problem was, so let's take the PAR method, problem, action, result, with a Hello World app. Now, Hello World, for those of you who are new to coding, it's the first program you will ever write. It's usually 1 or 2 lines of code. So you're putting your Hello World project, it's your best work so far, it's your only work. Put it in your portfolio. So what is the problem? The problem is I don't know how to code. And I want to learn how to code so I can provide a better life for my family, make more money. That's a big problem, right? So what did you do to solve that problem? Well, I started working on the Cold Steel Bootcamp. I'm doing a lesson a day. And as part of that curriculum, I built a Hello World app. That's the action portion. What's the result of your Hello World app? As a result of this app, I understand better how programs work, and I understand variables, and I understand the console.log function, or probably not variables, but there'd be like 1 or 2 things that the Hello World app has taught you. That's a big result. That's really significant. That's really significant. And it's not necessarily a bad thing that you put. I mean, it's not at all. Put your best projects. If you have one project, put it in your portfolio. You don't have to share it with anybody. You just want to get used to that process where you're talking about your projects, you're assessing your problem-solving skills, and you're articulating them all at the same time. And some people say, well, I don't have any projects. Work on a theoretical project. You don't have to have it done. Do something in like Adobe XD or Photoshop or something. Maybe you're into photography or whatever hobby. Start doing PAR statements on some of these projects you're interested in. If you're still really new on your coding journey, the point is to always be coding and always be developing so that you can come in and cycle these projects out. And that brings me to my next topic in today's training, what not to include. Do not include anything that is unnecessary. Sounds like a silly answer, right? Do not include TMI. Do not include ads. Do not include things that look cool. If your only justification for an element is that it looks cool, you got to do better than that. It can be, well, this actually applies to so one of the things I see a lot, one of the things I mentioned in the course, portfolio surgery. Let me open up the chapter here, because there's a chapter in the book of what not to include. Let's see. And a big one is gimmicks. Don't include gimmicks. And the example I give, some people are going to downvote this video because they're going to feel under the microscope here, but I don't know if you guys can see this, probably not. It's black and white, so it's hard to translate. It's the Particles.js library. Particles.js is abused beyond belief. I've seen it in a lot of portfolios. By the way, I was going to mention why I'm qualified, who I am and why I'm qualified to do this training. We're 40 minutes in, if anyone's curious. My name's RTC. I'm an instructor, developer, and author, and a software fanatic. I love helping people get jobs and level up and get raises. And the reason I'm qualified to do today's training is because I've reviewed over 100 developer portfolios over the past couple years. Many of those have been in public settings, like here on YouTube. Also, I've done a lot of one-on-one consultations, and the work I've done with developers has helped them land jobs based on the improvements they made on their portfolio. So if you've been watching for 40 minutes being like, wow, this person's a quack, just to let you know some of my background. I work a lot with juniors and people new to the industry, and the portfolio is always a big piece of helping them get into the industry. Because there are so many moving parts. There's a lot that can go wrong, and we're just trying to make it a bit better. If we can make it a lot better, awesome. But if we can just make it marginally better, it's already ahead of the pack, and that's really the name of the game. So anyways, going back to particles. I see this thing so much. So basically, it's this library. It's a plug-and-play library. It's these little particles that jump around on the screen. They look really cool. Unless you're a neurosurgeon or working on a particle accelerator, don't put particles in your portfolio. Unless you're the author of Particles.js, don't put particles in your portfolio. Do not put anything that is unrelated to your main goal. Has anyone ever seen that ridiculous riffraff meme? Mango. That guy is a clown. I don't know. It was a recommended thing. Just don't at me. Your main goal is to get hired because of your skills, right? So ask yourself, okay, if you're thinking about using Particles.js, ask yourself, what does that library have to do with my skills? If the answer is nothing, leave it out. However, like I was saying earlier, though, if it does relate to you, maybe I was just thinking this. I don't know if I actually mentioned this out loud, but if it relates to you, let's say you are a neurosurgeon and this Particles.js thing reminds you of like neurons firing. That's a good reason. And if your reasoning is, you know what, this looks cool and I'm a neurosurgeon, sweet. So there's a motivation behind it. You don't want to clog up your pages with things that aren't related to your main goal. You don't want to include things that don't illustrate your main characteristics. So Particles.js, ditch it. Other things like that too. Anything that alters the UX UI in a way that's distracting. That's something that I do see a lot often with junior developer portfolios. They want to stand out, and that's great. They're on the right track with that idea. However, and I don't have a good example here, sometimes some of these UX UI components can be a little too contrived. They're a little too clever. So you don't want to be too clever. You don't want to be too cute. These things are mostly utilitarian in purpose, offering utility to the user. They're technically focused rather than, they're also creatively focused, to be sure. But what I'm saying is you don't want these things to devolve into a carnival atmosphere where I'm going to be afraid some clown is going to walk onto the screen here and throw a water balloon at me. I want to read about what you can offer me as an employer. And so So I'm kind of oscillating between what not to include and what to include. So hopefully you can suss out the differences here. But at the end of the day, as an employer, I want to see people are really thinking about themselves at all times. And so you need to cater to that. You need to cater to me. You need to cater to these other employers who are looking at these things. And you need to show them how you can benefit their business, how you can benefit their lives, and how you're going to make them or save them money. Because employers are thinking about themselves. They're not thinking about, this is not a nonprofit operation. We need an employee that we can 10x. We're going to pay this person $50,000 a year. We're going to make $500,000 off of this person. Show them that you can solve their problems. And if you can do that, you're going to get called in. People love that. The more explicit, bop me and other employers over the head with what you can offer. Going over some of these, and this, again, Julia Johnson has a freaking radical portfolio. It is amazing. There are other portfolios out there of this caliber, but again, this is just one I figuratively stumbled upon. There are many more great portfolios out there, but this one really did catch my attention. And I just keep coming back to it because it's clean, it's fast, the process is there. Even though this person's an intern, I feel like I have a pretty good idea about her basic problem-solving process. Now, a portfolio can only bring you so far, and it's going to be confirmed. There's going to be some confirmation going on in a phone screen and in an interview, but for anybody who had a portfolio like this, it would be a callback minimum. And depending on what I heard on the phone, just to do a phone screen, make sure this person is who they say they are. Depending on how that goes, oh yeah, you're coming in for an interview because I want to know more. I want to know how you can apply these skills to my business and make me money. So remember that when you're working on these portfolios, it's not about you. It's about catering to your reader, and your readers are potential employers. And this word gets thrown around just perversely, excessively in this industry, but empathy. And basically, what I mean is that if you can put yourself in your employer's shoes for just a few minutes and think about what they're thinking about, and think about why they're looking for developers, why are they looking for juniors? Why are they, what? I heard no one's hiring juniors. No. Juniors are getting hired every day. It's how they sell themselves, and it's how they share themselves by catering to an employer. So that may sound cryptic still to some people, but hopefully by the things we've talked about today so far, not include just the TMI stuff. Never include pages upon pages about your personal life. Social media that's not related to development. If it's one way you're not going to get a callback, it's from posting to your socials where you're, tooting it up, having parties. No one, that's not professional, and no one, you don't want employers seeing that. You just don't. Unless it's related, unless it can somehow strengthen your narrative, don't include the socials. I included mine in this first portfolio, my YouTube, because that was a tech communication piece that's really important. And it's not just about, being able to build things. Obviously, web developers, we get paid to do that, but we also work with teams. It is shocking to a lot of people who spend, a year or two behind a keyboard working on these huge projects, picking up all these skills by themselves. And then it's a complete 180 once you're actually getting paid for it. When you're getting paid, it is a collaborative yet competitive arena. And you're communicating all day. Most of your stuff is going to be communicating through Git, communicating through code comments, communicating through Slack, communicating through Zoom, communicating at meetings. Hugely important. So practicing your communication early on is important. Clearing doubts in the mind of your employer about your communication skills is important. So having a narrative on your projects is one really good way of practicing that. It can also really help you with, English skills and just general writing skills. Even if you decide not to stay in this industry, writing skills are people say, oh, video. Lots of people read. Lots of people still read, and so it's important to be a functional writer. You don't have to be Shakespeare, but something functional. All right, let's move on. We're going to talk about responsiveness and testing. This is a really important one. Doing a lot of consultations. A lot of people aren't testing in various browsers. Now, some people may say, okay, RTC, I get it, but do you really expect me to go through every frickin' browser, like test on IE, test on Edge, test on desktop Safari? Here's the thing. You have to assess the risk and proceed as you see fit. If you want 100% of your employers to see your portfolio, you need to be testing on every browser. Brave, Firefox, Chrome, desktop Safari, that's a big one. Now, some people may say no one uses Safari. That's not true, especially when we're talking about iPads. A lot of these employers are on the go, click in here, click in there. They click on Safari and your portfolio isn't loading. I've seen that before more than once. The problem, and I understand, like, it is, if you're on a Windows or Linux machine, getting testing going in Safari is freaking hard because, for one, they don't have official distros for VM for a virtual machine, so you don't have to go on the dark web or anything, but you have to peck around for it. It's difficult, so find a friend or family member who has Apple products and test. Because Safari is used, especially on iPads, quite a lot. Mobile devices. You want to be testing, of course, on Chrome, on Firefox. But to the extent, like what extent? Okay, so Internet Explorer is what, like 1% of the market or something. Okay, other things equal, that means the odds of an employer using Internet Explorer is 1 in 100. Is that something you want to risk? Some corporate offices, some corporations, they only let their people use a certain browser. A lot of times, believe it or not, it's Internet Explorer or Edge. Some people are still stuck on Internet Explorer. Now, I'm not saying one way or another, I'm telling you, you have to assess the risk. If you Google browser usage statistics, Google that term, and you can get a better idea. Because, you don't want to, there's a big time investment. So again, you have to assess it because if you're spending 5 to 10 hours making something run on Opera Mini or a proprietary browser on a prototype BlackBerry device, that's probably going to be a waste of time, but it all depends. It all depends on the places you're applying to. And it depends on the level of risk you're willing to assume. If you want to deploy your portfolio really quickly and just get it out there, by all means, don't test it, but don't expect it to work on some of these employers' machines. Again, the biggest, I do see sometimes some problems in Firefox. Chrome, Chrome's a memory hog, but I've never had a problem browsing the web with it. Safari, on the other hand, the biggest disasters with stuff not loading, with stuff not working, with just getting a blank screen of doom happens on Safari. And I think a big reason for that, is because people who aren't developing on Apple products, they're not in that ecosystem, and testing on Safari when you don't have it is pretty difficult. So test as best as you can. And again, check out those browser usage statistics and proceed as necessary. The other thing you want to be doing for sure, most people know this, but just throwing this out there, you want to make sure your portfolio is responsive. What does that mean? It means that it works on all device screens, or most of them, the big ones anyway. Again, it's a risk assessment type of thing, how much time you want to spend in making sure. But basically, you want to make sure that people on smartphones, people on tablets, people who have, let me minimize that. People who are using smaller screens, that they can read everything and things are looking good. Look at that. Oh, that's nice and clean, isn't it? Yep. So responsiveness, making sure that your portfolio is visible on different screen sizes and different devices of different sizes. And that comes down to some thorough testing too. Put your portfolio up, send it to some friends, or, do some closed testing with people in your network. Even on the RealToughCandy Discord, you could ask, we have a room, not just for students in portfolio surgery where you can ask questions, but we also have a public channel where anyone can ask for feedback about their portfolio. Paradoodly do, could you share the Discord link? That's for the RealToughCandy Discord. We have an awesome community. Shout out to Rebecca, who I believe tried kombucha for the first time today. It's always a thing. I will never forget my first time drinking kombucha. I was absolutely horrified. But cheers to my kombucha drinkers near and far. I don't have one today because I had to, I slammed like 2 yesterday because of Thanksgiving. I'm telling you, man, I am severely Thanksgiving jammed. It's a Propel water. That's how desperate I am for electrolytes. It's bad. And I'm going to do it again tonight. Man, hold on. I got to grab my other water here. So yeah, we'll continue this in just 1 second. Talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to have a swig of this. If you're just joining us, welcome to Optimizing Your Portfolio Training. My name's RTC. I'm an educator over at RealToughCandy.io. I'm an author of a couple of books, and today I'm showing you how to make your portfolio better, how to get the attention of employers so that you can increase your callbacks, your interviews, and your job offers. Your portfolio is a really important asset. It's your most important asset as a new developer. This is your proof. This is your proof that you can show employers. And it's part of the package. It's not the end all be all. It is part of the package. It is a very important part of the package. We have some people who disagree with me, who say portfolios don't matter. But in going into 2021 as a junior, portfolios matter, and employers look at them. As a junior, as we discussed earlier, there are many reasons why mid-level and seniors don't rely as much, if at all, on portfolios. But juniors, totally different story. And if you're able to optimize that portfolio in a way that grabs an employer's attention, part the sea, people, because we have someone ready to be employed as a software developer, as a new junior dev. So let me take another swig of this. I'm not quite hydrated. By the way, happy Friday, TGIF, Black Friday. RealToughCandy.io, 50% off everything. Memberships, the yearly memberships, $200 normally. They are now $99.99, $99.98. Okay, under $100. It is the only time we are doing this type of sale until next Black Friday 2021. So scoop it up. Next month, I'm dropping another course for our yearly members as well as monthly members. If you're still in the monthly plan, next month it's called Monetizing Your Web Apps. I'm going to show you how to get paid for building web applications. Spoiler alert, it is not just Google AdSense. That's like one of 6 or 7 ways. I'm going to show you how to start earning an income from your developer skills. So we're adding courses regularly, especially we also have a yearly only seminars coming up. We have WordPress for skeptics coming up in January for our yearly members only, showing you how to get started with WordPress and getting you set up with a WordPress future if you so desire. So what have we been talking about today? Just to quickly settle up and get organized here. Talking about what is a portfolio. Do employers care? Yes, they care. What should you include in a portfolio? What should you not include in a portfolio? The types of projects you should include in a portfolio. Talking about responsiveness and testing, showing you guys real life portfolio examples. Again, I want to emphasize these are just 3 that I came across today that I thought had some great features. What I love about this guy's portfolio, Moritz. Now, this guy, again, he's not a junior, so the way he organized this is a little different. I love the tags of the technologies used. Smaller narrative. Again, this guy's already in the industry, so he has less narrative to write and more talking about the actual project and what it does. And then we have a really neat feature here. This design is angular and just something you don't see normally. So that popped out to me. And also on the right, we have photos of the project. So this is payme.kiwi. Basically just talking about what it is, along with a link to the project on the bottom. And then the tags up here too. Check this out. I just noticed this. The navigation on this leaves a little to be desired. 2018 enterprise application. This was so just tagging it instead of going on and on about it. We talked about being succinct in your developer portfolio, and that is really important. Less is more. Less is more. But you don't want to be so scant that you don't have any illustrative bits about your project. We talked about the PAR method, problem, action, result. And the way those are set up and organized in various portfolios, some people call it PAR, some people don't. Some people call it challenge, action, result, like I did in my first portfolio. Some people have case studies. That's another thing you can do. The other things you want to be including in your portfolio, a contact form. Please make it as easy as possible for your employers to contact you. Now, a contact form doesn't have to be the only way to get in touch with you, but it should be one of the ways. Also want to include your tech stack somewhere. A little bit about you. What are you about? What do you do? Nothing too crazy. Just a little introductory bit is fine. Keep them wanting more. Keep the employer intrigued, compelled, interested, sniffing about, wanting to see where's that React project. Let me find it. Keeping them interested, keeping it live. Also, too, this is something I didn't talk about too much at the beginning of the stream because I was having a Thanksgiving crisis, was social proof. That is positive things people say about you. Now, you can sprinkle it any old way. You can have a dedicated page. You could have, if you're doing freelance stuff, I've had people do freelance projects, use their projects they created for people and use them in their developer portfolio. Those are amazing projects to include. Why? Because they're real. They have a real impact on real people. And so that work is going to be just light years ahead of any project you can do with the course. I also have a course called Freelance Newbie. The person I'm thinking in particular of is Vlaslo. This guy Vlaslo took the course, and he said his employer, his first developer job, new developer, starting salary $80K. I think he's in Las Vegas. Not sure, don't quote me, but $80K for sure starting salary. He said his employers were impressed with his freelance work. And the reason that probably is the case is because those projects are real. And the more you can get to solving real problems, the more employers are going to pay attention to you. But getting back to that feedback thing, when you do freelance projects, your people are going to have good things to say about you, hopefully. And if they don't, keep trying, because you want to, you want people to say good things about you with your web development work. So take those testimonials, take those pieces of feedback, ask them first. You don't want to just be like recording someone on the phone and be like, okay, they told me these things in confidence. Make sure they're actually talking about you and your work in a context that is printable or publishable. And what I mean by that is you don't want to be saying like, quoting someone saying like, wow, Moritz, you're effing awesome. Like, keep it professional. And you can even ask people like, hey, you saw my work. What do you think of it? What do you think of me as a developer? And use that as social proof, as a testimonial. So at this juncture, I think I'm going to go check in with the comments and see how many people are here today. By the way, haven't checked in with the comments yet, but if you are in this live stream, please do me a favor and hit the thumbs up button. This is a training I've been wanting to do for a couple of weeks just to get people's 2021 off to a strong start. This is the type of training that unfortunately is kind of hard to get in your typical dev course, which is, fair because this is more about taking your skills and putting them into a real world context. Whereas developer courses, learn to code courses, those are more concerned with getting you those skills in the first place. But as many people have probably experienced, making that shift from student to employee, there's a lot to do, and it's really tough, and it can be really dejecting. So we want to make your most important asset as a new developer pop, stand out, snag the attention of employers, and get you in that hot seat so you can get that job. And we talked about the most important things today. There are lots more things to talk about as far as projects. I could do 2 or 3 more hours of training with making projects your own. But again, I show you 5 methods for making them your own in my course, Portfolio Surgery. Now, I'm already working on an update for this course because in this book, we go over things that concern the actual portfolio itself, in addition to projects. So this curriculum is more focused on your projects inside your portfolio. So that's going to be some training coming up on this course in the next couple of weeks. But as we talked about earlier, there are things you definitely don't want to be including, and mainly it comes back to anything that is TMI or excessive or doesn't illustrate your main talents. Keep people focused on the core components. Keep your employers focused on those core components and start re-emphasizing them throughout your portfolio. What do I mean by that? Well, this Julia Codes project, Coffee by Benjamin, is built for this is a React app built for a self-roasting coffee kit. So she's trying to say this is a React project. So what do we got? 1, 2, let's see. I can probably just go search it. So there's 9 instances where this person mentioned React. And you want to, that's kind of the thing you want to focus on too, is that with your main skills, not just mentioning it once. Because if it's just once, most people aren't going to see it. You want to make it repetitive and be like, okay, React developer, front-end developer, front-end developer, front-end developer, front-end developer. And this is another example of a portfolio that does that. Now, she could have said IBM 9 times, but that's not the most important thing about her. It's not the most important thing in these projects. The most important things in these projects are mentioned multiple times. So just creating that awareness for your employer, because they don't know anything about you. The only things they know about you are what they're reading. You know you're a React developer. You've been doing it for a year. You've been studying this stuff for a year. You eat, sleep, and breathe it. But your employer doesn't. So you want to get them up to speed with that. You want to get them on the level that you are with your consciousness that you're a React developer. Tell them multiple times. Show and tell them. All right. Let's go to the comments. Let's see if we have any questions, which we probably do. And in fact, I may be able to get to a few. If you really want your question to pop up, send me a super chat. Otherwise, there's no guarantee because we do have so many people. Let's go. Hello? Let's go to these comments. Rebecca, what's up? Let's see. Welcome. I want to give a shout out to everyone joining me today. Hologram Nunchuck. We didn't do a roll call, so let's do it right now. We got 82 people in here. Awesome. Centurion, Candace, Pixa, Sean, PNW, Linguaphile, Troy Mitchell, what's up? Average Joe, Abdur, Candace. How's it going, Dr. Candace? Dr. Candace, you were at a week-long freaking tech seminar last week. Like, where are you getting these connections? I need to start going to these virtual parties, like week-long tech parties. Pixa K Levek says, what about Parallax.js? Test it. I like Parallax, but again, if you're just doing it because it looks cool, you need a better motivation for that. Does it assist in the UX UI? The biggest, I love Parallax. My first couple of websites I did was Parallax because I was obsessed, and I was like, well, it looks cool. Okay, but when you're doing it as a portfolio thing, the UX UI really comes first. If you're doing it for freelancing and the person, your client is like, yeah, this looks great. Okay, cool. Then you can justify that. But if it's just to make it look cool, you gotta have more justification in that. And the big problem I do see with Parallax is that it lags sometimes. And not to pick on Moritz Kohner's website or portfolio, because I think it's great. It has some great elements. But one problem I am having here is that I'm trying to freaking focus. It snaps to places where I don't want it to snap. You know what I mean? I can't, it's not a smooth scroll. It makes me jump every time. I'm using a trackpad right now. This is a MacBook Pro laptop. So, this might be a trackpad thing, but either way, I'm trying to make it stop, and it's not stopping. So anytime you add those type of libraries where it's like a parallax or like a snap scroll or something, it's another layer that's susceptible to failure. And so you need to remember that when building portfolios is that every little bit is going to affect your user. And using templates, I don't have a problem with people using templates. In fact, I encourage it. It's just that you don't want to make it look like 500 others. And that was one thing when I was doing the critique of my own portfolio the other month. Again, this is my first web developer portfolio. This is built with a static site generator, and it uses Ruby. I don't know Ruby, and I really didn't know it at the time. So I was hesitant to fuss with it because I didn't want to break it. This is like straight out of the box. This design is straight out of the box from HTML5 up. They offer free templates, some paid. They have some really cool ones, just FYI. But it's okay to use the templates just as long as you change a little bit and make sure it's not used by 5 million other people. One of the issues, though, is that sometimes they do come in built in with stuff like Parallax, which, again, it looks cool, but what is it doing for your user? And if you're a front-end developer and you have an emphasis on design, what can you do in replacement, in lieu of Parallax? What could you do to make it even better, to make that navigation even better? And I guess the bottom line is that you want to be asking yourself the motivation behind all of your design decisions. There's a lot of design decisions and incisions, now that I think about it, design decisions you're going to be making on these portfolios. And it really comes down to how much time you have, your areas of expertise, and where you're trying to go with it. Because if you're a back-end developer, the UX is still important. But if you're a graphic designer, like front-end developer with UX UI skills, trying to implement graphic design, and you have a mind for design, then it's really got to be on point. It's really got to be good. It's got to be almost flawless. If the more emphasis you have on front end and the more emphasis you have on design, the more perfect it has to be. Because again, it's not just impressing employers. There's a two-prong thing here where it's on one prong is the employer that you're trying to impress, and at the other prong are your other developers, your competition. So you're like trying to fight off your competition, these 500 other developers who are applying for the same front-end job, and you're trying to impress your employer. So it's a Herculean task. It's tough. Portfolios are tough to get right. Even the best ones still, they still have improvements. You can always improve something. But that's why I do talk about first getting marginally better, because if you can do it marginally, then you can do it more. At the end of the day, you just have to be marginally better than your competition to get called in and to get the job. So great question about that, about parallax. Definitely test it. Definitely see. That's another thing too I really didn't discuss in this training, is that when you're testing this, send it out to friends and family. Send it out to people you trust. Send it. And if you don't have anyone in your direct circle, go to the RTC Discord and ask for some feedback in that Review My Portfolio channel. Because you want people who, especially friends and family who are non-technical, to be like, okay, how are they navigating this thing? Where are their stopping points? And what are they doing with the site? How are they interacting with it? And you can get technical feedback too from people like in our Discord. Now, of course, you don't have to go to our Discord, but that's a good place for it. And it's free. Also, people in your tech people in your group. If you're able to, be in person with them and watch how they interact with it. Take notes and then ask them questions about it. Like, okay, what did you like about this portfolio? What did you not like? Or what do you think needs improvement? Getting that feedback from real people instead of the voice in your head can be really effective too. And if they're like, 3 out of 5 people are like, yeah, I like it, but this navigation, what do they call this thing? What did you say you call this thing? Parallax? Yeah, parallax. I'm not really feeling it. Then you can use that information to make a better decision. And that goes for any of these libraries and add-ons and really anything that you decide to put in your portfolio. Great question. Let's see. Oh, Donovan's here. Joshua Taro, Mighty Minority. What's up, Tech Rally? What's up? Happy Thanksgiving. Donovan. Stephanie, hey. Taylor, welcome, welcome. Let's see. Joshua. Awesome. Lots of people here. Lots of new faces too. Mark, how's it going? Taylor says also, without a contact form, you could be open for spammers. Yes, that is a great point. Down here, again, this person, Juliet, someone's probably going to tag her on Twitter and be like, yeah, this person, RTC, like, focused on your portfolio for an hour and gave you unsolicited feedback. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, I picked out this portfolio because it's amazing. But one thing that you are setting yourself up for by putting an email address right here is spam. You could incorporate something like a CAPTCHA or have some other integration where you're filtering out spam bots, but this does open you up to getting ridiculous emails. I have a CAPTCHA on all my sites. This portfolio that I did a couple years back does not have a contact form, so I don't, I didn't have that problem. It doesn't have an email either. Like, I don't. Let me see what I had. Okay, I man, this is so convoluted. So I didn't hyperlink. I didn't link the email. And I really need to take that out because Taylor brought up a good point. But my submission form is on a different site. And again, these links and stuff are not even valid anymore because this is archived. This is just for training purposes. I don't use this. I haven't used this portfolio in years. It's just for training, but I do need to get rid of that email address. What I did at the time, and this is like one of the biggest things that I did not think about thoroughly with this portfolio, was making it easy for people to contact me. Like, okay, so an employer has to copy and paste my address or go to a different site or tag me on Twitter. Like, dude, come on, that's not going to work. Contact form. But yeah, when you're setting these things up, just keep in mind too that not everybody, when you go public with your portfolio, not everyone out there is going to try and help you. There are some evil forces out there, some not so nice forces, and just straight up bots that may spam you or, do whatever. So be mindful of that as well. Taylor says, I've experienced this myself. Make sure you have accessible CAPTCHAs. So yeah, the CAPTCHA, I use V3. And so that, oh my gosh, so many of these sites are using, I think it's V2, where you have to there's 9 photos. And they're like, click the photo that has a palm tree. Click the photo where you see a motorcycle wheel. Click the turkey. I'm like, make it stop. And sometimes it'll just be this endless loop of 7 different photos. And like, I'm so glad I'm training like Google's neural networks as I'm like doing these stupid puzzles, like about to flip out because just like they're so obnoxious. With V3 CAPTCHA, I don't know what voodoo is going on, but you don't solve any puzzles. Whatever voodoo they have, you just browse the site, and if you're a bot, you're not able to send messages. And it saves so much time because you don't do any ridiculous carnival tricks. You know, the match game, like sometimes too, they'll be like, I see this on LinkedIn, like, pull the puzzle piece to the opening. And they're like, good job, you did it in less than 10 seconds. I'm like, I'm not here for this. Like, there's got to be a better way. And there is a better way with the new version of Google CAPTCHA. I mean, it's not a miracle product because, you know, there are no such things as that in software, but it's definitely a step up. So that's something too when you're publishing your portfolio. CAPTCHAs, accessible ones where you don't have to do puzzles, or like these old ones where, man, and PayPal, I could just go on a rant about these CAPTCHAs. So PayPal has one too. I swear to God, I'm typing in the right character. It's just like, it's a capital B and a lowercase L and then an exclamation mark. Like, I do it deliberately, and they're just like, yeah, no, you failed. Sorry, no can access. Like, what? No. Yeah. Okay, big tangent. Taylor says an accessible way to make CAPTCHA is to do a math problem CAPTCHA or use the Google CAPTCHA. PNW Linguophile says, I just Googled CAPTCHA, and the first thing that showed was 24% of web traffic is bad bots. I totally believe that stat. That does not surprise me. It sucks, but yeah, there are too many bots out there just crawling the web trying to make your life terrible. Anyways, it's 4:21. I'm going to wrap up this training. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. The biggest takeaway of this training: number one, what is a portfolio? It's a place for you to exhibit your work. It's an exhibition. It's Developers Illustrated. Showing your potential employers your skills and what you can do to make your employer succeed. Because it's all about them. We talked about that too. We talked a little bit about narcissism and how people are always thinking about themselves. You know, we can't change the reality. So let's leverage it. Let's try and maximize it and get ahead by showing people what they want to see and sharing with people what they want you to share so they can feel better about their lives. Catering your portfolio to your employer, putting in projects and giving them a narrative so that your employer can better understand your problem-solving process is one of the most important things, and something I do see developers not employing. Also, we talked about contact forms. We got on a little sidetrack with the CAPTCHAs because they are sometimes the bane of my developer existence. We talked about testimonials, social proof, what types of projects to include. Even if it's a simple hello world, that's a good start. That's a start. Cycle them out. Just keep cycling them out. As soon as you pick up another skill, as soon as you're working on another project, cycle it out. Always be improving it. Always be coding. We talked about some really cool web developer portfolios here. Someone with the audacity to kick off their portfolio with their leading project, a modified to-do app. I'm impressed. I like it. I like the twist. Also, communication skills, disturbingly important in 2020 going into 2021. It's not just about the tech skills. Clearly, those are of utmost importance as well, but they are part of the package. Finally, testing for responsiveness and weighing the risk versus the benefits when it comes to testing on different browsers. I encourage everyone who is interested in optimizing their portfolio to check out browser usage statistics. And from there, you can make a more informed decision of what you need to test and how much you'd like to test. If you are interested in taking it a step further and learning 5 methods for making projects your own, check out Portfolio Surgery on RealToughCandy.io. The link will be popping in the community section, not community section, geez, the live chat at the moment by our extraordinary mod, Paradoodly Doo. Please also pop the book, where I really don't recommend using Particles.js, among other things. Available on paperback and Kindle. Developers, 50% off till midnight tonight on RealToughCandy.io. Get yourself a membership. See what it's all about. If you don't, you're going to have to pay full price because I'm not doing another sale till next year. We have a little teeny tiny coupons floating around, but nothing like this. We're not doing a sale like this till next year. Period. Ends tonight at midnight. Thank you so much for tuning in. Shout out to Dr. Candace and all my channel members, Donovan, William Claybrook. Didn't see William today. He may be in the chat somewhere. If someone sees him, please say hello to him for me. And all my other channel members, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this training was helpful. Have a great weekend. Coming back next week with some fun videos. We're going to be talking about continuous integration and continuous deployment. We're going to be talking about jobs, the tech industry, all that good stuff. So you can start off your 2021 with a bang, okay? We are not going to sit back, relax, and wonder where our life has gone. We're going to grab it. All right? So thanks for tuning in. As always, I'm RTC. See you in the Discord, and I'll see you in the next video.